Hi everyone, my name is Jason Tremblay. I'm here with Arian and We're from the Strength Guys, and today we're going to recap the meet of Joshua Wright in the 74 kilo class. Now, this is my first meet with Joshua Wright. He signed up with us in December, and Joshua is an American who is competing for Team Germany because that's where he lives. So Joshua Wright, going into this competition, was nominated in 5th place, and it looked like by the nominations Taylor Atwood was the obvious favorite to win. But after that, a lot of lifters were in the range of 710 to 730 on nominated totals and past totals, and it was really going to be an interesting meet for how the podium ended up forming. So Joshua and I had a really good training cycle coming in. He came from a bodybuilding style of training, really. He wasn't doing a lot of powerlifting, and I took that seriously at the start, and I started him off on a program with a few of my changes to give him more of a bodybuilding style approach, but also I wanted to introduce some periodization, some structure, some organization into his training. And as phase 1 went well, I took away some of the bodybuilding and added more components of our powerlifting programming in, and phase 2 went well, so I kept doing that. And by phase 3, when it was time to, we're 10 weeks out, we got to go for IPF Worlds, I'm like, you know what, you're ready. So we gave him a highly specific powerlifting program, squatting 3 times a week, benching 3 times per week, deadlifting 2 times per week. All things that he hadn't done before signing up with us, and his response was really good. But heading into the meet, you never know how a lifter is truly going to do when it's your first time peaking them, and so we practiced openers extensively, we practiced second attempts extensively, but Josh had a pretty big weight cut to do. He started off training around 80 kilos, and he actually weighed in light around 71 kilos at this competition, and it ended up working in our favor. So I started him up opening quite low on each lift, and I left a pretty big range in his third attempts to account for, if the weight cut really affected him. And so we opened up first on squat at 225 kilos, and it looked like a nervous effort. It moved okay, but it looked nervous. So the German team, they were fantastic. They wanted to go up 10 kilos, and I agreed. That was on our plans. That's what we did. And then Josh's second moved better than his opener. It looked more confident. So we ended up with 242.5 on squat. And I think at this stage in the meet, nobody was really expecting Josh to be a factor. In the end, he was like 6th or 7th in forecasted total, and that was playing to our advantage because we kind of wanted to slide under the radar, because Josh actually has a really good deadlift in him. So I felt like we were able to achieve that. And do you have anything else to add on how squats played out for the 74s?
I was just going to say, as far as like the information coming in, again, like the preview and stuff, no one was picking them for top 3, and no one was really even picking them for top 5, which can, like you said, be beneficial. No one's really worried about you. And along with his good deadlift, it looks like he has a good bench as well.
Yeah.
So squat is the weak one, which I guess is beneficial then to play conservative with that kind of weight cut and everything like that. Just get 3 squats in, doesn't matter if you leave 2.5 kilos in the tank, and move on to the 2 lifts that you're good at, and then start making up that ground and the bench delt. So it looks like, there's great attempt selection. It's good that the Team Germany worked well with you to take that 10 kilos, 7.5 kilos, get 3 squats in, and then just move on.
Yeah. Max Eisinger and Andreas from Team Germany were fantastic. They did an amazing job with Joshua Wright. I was really impressed with their preparedness and their professionalism and how responsive they were with him, because I was with Taylor most of the meet. So I would just consult with them briefly after watching Josh's lift on the TV monitor and tell them what I thought. They did a really good job. So Josh ended up hitting a 5 kilo 74 kg squat PR and 2.5 kilo PR all time.
Oh, that's great.
As an 83 as well. So it was a really good session. Moving into bench, we opened up at 170 kilos, Josh absolutely obliterated his opener. So, we actually had 177.5 as our 2A attempt, which is kind of like top second, and 175 is 2B, and it was very obvious we're going up 7.5. And then from there, we had 182.5 as our top and third, and Team Germany's like, you know what, we need to make a little bit of ground in this class, because it was kind of looking like 725 to 730 was what was going to be needed to get you on the podium. And so we took the reach on bench press, which it's a gutsy call to make, to go for, you know, a 5 kilo bench press PR to make up your kilos at Worlds. But Josh was able to grind it out, and yeah, it was a 5 kilo all-time bench PR, even though he weighed in at 71 kilos, which is, you know, it's quite crazy. So hopefully once we get him weighing in around 74, he'll see even more gain from just being a little bit heavier as well. And meanwhile, quite a few lifters missed their third bench in the flight, and when that happens, you know, maybe it's only a 2.5 kilo jump, but that's 2.5 kilos that you're missing out on in what was an incredibly close battle for second and third. So I thought this is shaping up pretty well for us, but we still needed some things to happen on deadlift to get a podium. So moving into deadlift, we opened up first again in the flight at 272.5, and Josh moved it like it was a warm-up. So we actually went up 17.5 kilos for a second attempt. And what that was going to do was it was going to force everyone, hey, if you don't make your third attempt deadlift, we're going to pass you on placings, because we had body weight advantage on everyone.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we tied a bunch of people on forecasted total by making that jump, and Josh was able to absolutely crush it on his second attempt, and we ended up going 2.5 kilos above his 3A on deadlift. I think he was tired quite often in training and unable to show how much he was able to pull, but he ended up pulling 305 kilos to tie Clinton Lee on total, and beat Clinton Lee on body weight to become the first German lifter ever at a World Classic Open Championship to finish on the podium. So really cool achievement. Josh also set 3 national records in Germany, and yeah, it was a fantastic day, and I was so happy to see him bronze medal at the end of the competition.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, because on paper you tell someone like, oh, they're walking around 80 kilos, they cut down, overshoot, they're down at 71. You're thinking, okay, squat's going to take a hit, bench is going to take a hit, they may be depleted, and the day just went amazing for him, which is like, it must be like how well he responded to the training, that the training just, you know, blew his numbers up. And
yep.
So even with the weight cut, he's able to maintain and even increase in strength, and being able to, you know, like you said, execute more on the bench press and put that pressure on them, and then come and put those big jumps in on deadlift. And it seems some of the other lifters underperform, which at, you know, a world championship, that happens. Not everyone's gonna have their perfect day, and that gives you the opportunity. So it seemed like Leonardo from Australia and Alexander Eriksson from Sweden underperformed a little bit and opened that door up for you guys to then take those big jumps and come and steal that bronze medal.
Yeah, the consequences of missing at Worlds are really high. So I often tell competitors that competing at Worlds is a different experience. It's like high stakes poker, right? And if you miss a lift, even if it's a third bench, it could mean 1, 2, 3 placings for you right there. So oftentimes that affects the attempt selections. You're a little bit more conservative because you can't afford to miss. And in the situation of Joshua, you're just kind of stacking attempts and waiting for other people to make their mistakes so that the door opens for you. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And in this case, it did open for us. So,
do you know what the PR total was?
It was a 15 kilo all-time PR for Josh. So
yeah, so even if the door hadn't opened as far as the placing, you come away with a 9 for 9 day, a
yep.
PR total, the national records, all those kind of things. And so you maximize everything you could that day.
Yep.
And then you have to just see what everyone else does, and it just happened to fall in place. to get that bronze medal. So that's amazing for him that he was able to make that cut, make that kind of progression, and execute and bring that medal for Team Germany.
Yeah, and again, the German coaches were fantastic throughout the meet, so well done to them as well.